Okay, so I haven't really done much for a while, but I wanted to share with you just a little bit of the scenes of winter. So I got a grapevine trellised in a place here to try to move it away from trees and start it for something later. And the elderberry that's in the wood line is still here, larger pieces. The sweet potato bed is to rest, but should come back next year. And the sorrel is huge. Look at ugly. I am just going to go through here, and of course I got monkey grass. I fight with it all the time. Somebody thought it was great as a border, but it kind of took off over the years, and maybe forever trying to remove it. And the ferns that I planted as a borderline plant properties, and along the backside of a garden where I plan to plant some earth. And I can always pull up the extra there. It's not a big deal. They barely get in the soil. And they look nice. They're technically considered a little invasive, but they've been here a long time, and I just moved them from one place to another. Now, the front yard is going to get some work. And yes, I still haven't figured out the underpinning in the house. It's an old 1930s house, and it has a lot of work to go, but there's plants that were planted last summer that should come up right here by the stones. And I made these. I made the fish and the swans and the fern stone. And stuff kind of grows on them, but that's what's supposed to happen. I'm hoping someday they'll be covered in moss. Here used to be sunflowers. Next year it'll be sunflowers again, except for the sunflowers are native, and that's going to be a nice surprise. And let's go back to the first thing that I ever planted in the yard. Right here was my old friend, my cactus. And I put the first pad in here. And I do have other pads down in here also. You can't hardly see them right now, but they are going to come up. So that'll be a nice summer surprise when those all start to grow. The year has really brought some challenges. One, there used to be a stump here. Now there's an anthill, a massive colony of fire ants. My sago palm and my other plant here, I think it's an iron plant. They're doing well. And I got sand for a driveway. And there's another bigger, a little bit more. It's fine. And another one of those iron plants. Yo Pond, wonderful plant. And my hill that came from my pond has some ferns and some other plants in it, and right now it's dormant. Leaves are on the ground, moss is peeking through. This progress. And more moss. Is that calm? Are going to be reworked, and there's going to be trees that are here in the summer, I hope. And pond when dry to reclaim the wood pile. Time, slowly working soil up onto the logs. my stones, every stone I've placed, or everything that I've placed in this garden is a little surprise. Right there is a piece of concrete. Right there's a brick. Both got inoculated with moss, and the moss has taken over. And there, another one. And moss that traveled to the top of the hill in the soil. And you want to see a really lovely patch of moss. Look at these. These are amazing. They have just absolutely taken over. And I'm letting them do their thing, but I moved samples here by the pole on the other side of the wood. It's small, yet very much a citrus. That should be a lemon, hopefully. Is the potato bed experiment. It's all went to sleep, and I'm not sure what's gonna. I have coppiced or top all the native American persimmon trees so that I can control their growth a little bit. It's cold. It was time. Here's another one. And then we have the banana. Now, the banana is still trying to grow. It's been freezing, and it's still trying to grow. I'm going to cut it back in spring, let it grow back fresh. But for right now, this plant is, it's like the weeds you don't mind having. Of course, we're citrus trees, so it's, but they are here. And they're doing well. Berry trees. Oranges. This one is massive. It has been happy. Right now the cold's got it, but it's been pretty happy. And then the banana baby pup. The first pup from my pups that I got. And it's still there. It didn't like the cold, but it's okay. It'll come back. Like I said, it's okay. We're having connection issues. I am sorry. Connection issues. I am very sorry. Very. Along the property line. And I watched a video by M.I. Gardner where he showed just basically cutting the roots with a shovel and moving the plants, and they would just keep coming, and that's exactly what happened. So I'll probably do that again in the spring. And I got one more or two more back here. They're doing well. Now this is my new compost pile. If you want to see what I do, this is what I do. Everything into a pile, and I start throwing all kinds of stuff, not plastic. And I have an argument about plastic and trash all the time. The tea bags will compost, but basically I throw everything that's not eaten by us or animals into the ground with the compost pile, and then I will move that back into this large pile, and I'll cut all this stuff in eventually. I have a plantain planted there. The bag is to show that. And I have a plantain planted here. Same thing. The bag is to show where it's at. I'm hoping they come up in the spring. Really, I've never had them, so let's see. Now, some of the plants I decided to cover, and these are the galangal. So I covered those. See what they do for the new year. And I coppiced, trimmed, pruned, whatever word you want to use, onto this mulberry. And if you think that this weird composting method doesn't work, take a look at this. That's a log. A log. And just like in woods, they're breaking down. I keep a little nest right there for some bees. That's water containers up front there. I don't know how this one's going to work. Yep, sorry. Looks like it cut me out. So we're still working here. I'm going to just recap. Elderberry. Lovely elderberry, very tall. And then there's some that I've cut. They're trying to come back. And here again, the logs, they decompose. That's the proof that they just fall apart. So it doesn't matter how big they are, as long as you get them in a pile and let them get taken over by mushrooms, they will break down. And this is my cactus garden. One of the cactuses is doing fine, but it didn't make it in there. Please ignore the dog. Neighbor's dog just whines all the time. Like mine barks all the time sometimes. So the cactus mound, I covered it. I didn't want it. It's still kind of new on some of the plants. And this is the fetid swamp water like David the Good talks about. So it works. We got a low. And I've got a really nice blackberry plant that seems to be doing well over here. And eventually I will get it to spread out, and when this all decomposes, I'll have more space for it. It just takes time. Just let it rot in place. It'll build the soil. Now, all my Malabar spinach seems to have went dormant or died off. We'll see if it comes back, and I have one inside just in case it doesn't. Sugar cane, odd weather, it's been trying to pop back up, but this should be full of sugar cane by the next year. And this is my Japanese sweet potato garden. It's 5 or 6 rows here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 actually, 4 massive rows and 2 end rows. And this should come back. I left plants in the ground, I left potatoes in the ground, and it should act as if it belongs here and come back every year. So that's an experiment. Hopefully we'll have good luck. This garden here, beside the cactus mound, goes to the art installation is what they call it sometimes when they're talking about it around here, and the wind chime. And this garden here has a few pepper plants that have survived, and some moss that took over on some of these old tree roots, which is awesome. I got some more pepper plants over here somehow surviving. And this garden will hopefully come up with some other things. I have some stuff planted that should come up in about 90 days, and then I'll show that. And this is just a wire off an old pallet that's run right up the art installation and over top of the wind chimes. And that's your dad. Now this was a seed for out in the garden before I got sick, and but really it ends up being garden. Now this is not my pepper plant, but it is loaned in my yard, so I'm going to kind of show it. This thing is cool, healthy Tabasco, keeps having more and more peppers. And here we are in the new year, 2025, and there's still peppers coming off this plant. And now, when I say loaned, I've loaned a space in my back corner here, and every pot and everything here belongs. And I'm going to do a little walking off of the property and come back around to some my fig tree, and it is on its third year, I think, and it's right beside the compost pile for a reason. I was trying to feed it while it grew as a babe as next year. Soon I'll have plants, but all these extra pots except for this one pot in the back, and I don't use that grow stuff there, but the person that I loaned the area to does. This one's a maypop, and that is mine. And it's here to just climb up a tree that I cut and hopefully go up into the grapevines eventually, which I did not get a grape. I had tons of grapes producing on this thing finally, and I did not get a grape. All the grapes got eaten by something. I never got a one. This is intentional, or juniper, whichever way you want to call it. It's intentional. I left it here. But let's walk the beaten path past the little corner here. These plants are my neighbor's plants, and it's me being kind of off about, so I'm going to share this. I am not legally attached, but this is Johnny's garden, and Johnny is my significant other's brother. And I usually just keep people out of this, but he is a gardener extraordinaire when he wants to be. Some of his stuff takes off crazy. Shampoo gingers and stuff, they have creeped over into the backside of my property. And I'm going to move those. And my other neighbors garden a little. And none of them mind me being back here, so I'm walking along. And just kind of showing that there's a little bit of stuff back here. Now, we're walking back onto me. Taro, longevity spinach, aloe vera, and that's one of Johnny's plants. I gave him a little space back here, and I can't remember what he told me this was. If you know, put it in the comments. And we got ferns. They've been here forever. I let them grow on the edges. And that's a shampoo ginger. I moved a bunch of them in here, so next year I should have a bunch. Now this plant was here when I got here, and I'm still trying to figure out what this is. I'm gonna have to take a picture of it like this. But look at this, it's winter. It's flowering. Isn't that cool? It has grown a shoot up the center, kind of like how an aloe does, and has buds. And shampoo gingers, of course it's winter, these should be dead, but they're still here. And here's my original massive compost pile. It is now maybe 10 foot in diameter. This compost pile has been here since before I was here, and then I started working on it. Every once in a while I find a little bit of trash and I clean that up. But don't know what that is. Look at this. I just stuck my boot in there, and it's not done yet. It's breaking down. It is like humus right now. And one of these days, it's going to actually be full-blown trash. I got one bucket out here. You'll have to bear with me. I put trash in the bucket under the table. And then I'll take it away. So this is just a little seating area back here. And more taro. More taro, and I'm doing this on both sides. The other side behind us, but it's so small it's barely there right now. And so just building this, and it seems that I decided to talk, and now we got airplane racket, noise, and very hard to be peaceful when the world is being noisy for no reason. So up around really old oak tree. There's my leg. There's the base of this tree. It's awesome. Have some really awesome trees here. How awesome. Let's go up the canopy and just give you a canopy shot. This is where I sit in the evenings to collect my thoughts and hopefully be quiet. Look at that tree canopy. Isn't that great? And the sun comes through. Okay. Now, seeing that we haven't been able to depend on the quality of compost material that I've put around these trees to get plants to grow, like taro, because I like the looks of it, and I just want this to be a nice little path. I am collecting. I've talked about it once or twice about the bunny rabbits, but bunny rabbits make cold manure that's safe to put on your plants, and so I collect it. We got Bun Bun 2, wasn't supposed to stay, now has a home because I can get fertilizer and a little bit of food and water and a place for a rabbit. Doesn't seem like a bad trade. So chicken coop with a tarp and some old-fashioned, and Bun Bun 1 and her sister, Bun Bun 2, I got this backwards, Bun Bun 2 and her sister Bun Bun 1, got blurry there for some reason. They're living here, year old, and their best friend is Charlie. Charlie is a Texas Timuc. He is a wonderful boy, aren't you? And somebody was messing with my cages, I'm certain, because animals can't open cages like this very easily, and all of them were being opened. So I made these cotter pins from ground anchors that you use from greenhouses and stuff like that. I bent them, so there you go, and that will hold the thing. Now Charlie is an exceptionally gentle and wonderful rabbit. He really is. He was a gift, and I really, really, really enjoy his company. And a lot of people get freaked out by his eyes because he's an eraser, but I think he's awesome. He says, don't be showing people my eyeballs, man. All right, that's okay. He is an exceptional rabbit. And since he has the eraser gene, I don't really know what his genetics look like. He could have babies that are totally different. Well, he wouldn't have the babies, but you get what I'm saying. Then we got Clee. Clee is a lovely girl also. Yes, you are. I'm having some focus issues, and I'm sorry. But Clee is a good rabbit, and she had babies with Peter. And Peter is an awesome rabbit, aren't you, boy? Peter is gentle and kind, and he is a really good boy, aren't you? He is technically lilac. I think he might count as a broken, but his pattern transferred to his son. Him and Clee are parents, and the son, and what you saw back there was a cardboard box that this boy has already tore up, and he's already tore up his new one. He loves boxes. But this is Dodico, and Dodico is a lovely rabbit, and he is as close to a Japanese brindle as you're going to get. Love him, and I'm glad that he came out that way. My original longevity spinach, Japanese maple. After the cold, the leaves have shriveled up. I got stone in here that I brought with me from where I moved. Lantana. And more lantana. Japanese pagoda. They were gifted to me. If you've been following, you saw me talk about this after they were gifted. And Johnny's the one that gifted them, so I've kind of talked about that in this here live video. And over here is the center. Now this is turmeric or turmeric, whichever way you pronounce it. And this is the yellow variety, and it's all dormant right now. But I promise it'll come back. Under the tarp, next to the box that clearly says garden linens, is aloe. It's keeping the weight off of the aloe. And then down in here, decided, but everything in there is kind of doing its right now, and is not anything I planted. This is a cherry tree that I saved. It's a black cherry. I do really like this tree, and it split, and I tied it back together and made it grow, and it looks a little weird, but I saved it. I liked it. This is cardamom, which seems to do well. Even with the weather getting cold, it hasn't shriveled up too bad. And this is my fern loving tree. I don't know if that's true or not, but it has shared its space with a fern. And what you're not understanding, you see this down through and then sprouted out. And here's the other side of the tree where I actually did plant the fern, and hidden in there, of course, the longevity spinach, and it's doing well. And that plant is, I'll have to, and somewhere was an ice plant, but I no longer see it, so it may be gone. This old tree I wanted to save. And once this was cut and trimmed up nice and neat where it had broken off, seemed like a perfect flower pot. But I like ferns better than flowers, so here we are. I got some taro in here, and I'm slowly removing it, but it is magic. It sends runners for like 10, 15 feet. Something to remember about taro. And the reason why I keep removing it is This is my culinary ginger patch. I have some more to put somewhere else, and we'll try that in the spring. But there's another taro, and all through here, if you saw my previous videos, are gladiolas, and it's really going to pop this year. Now I gotta trim this camphor out. I do that every year. The lantana stays, camphor goes. And this that you can't see, but it's starting to get a few shoots come up. There's more in here. That's all gladiola. They should come up. Now this is some kind of lily. Still haven't figured out exactly what that one is. And here are all yellow cannas, but there's other cannas in here too, so they should shoot up and do something. And these sprouts that insist on trying to grow are gotta think of it. They're an orange flower, and I've talked about them before. If I think of it, I'll put it in the comments. If you happen to remember from a previous video, drop it in the comments. Could use some help remembering when I'm here. So let's talk about stuff we can't see. Again, under the cherry tree, visible but not really visible, here is strawberry plants, and they're still here, so next year I'll have more strawberries. Dewberries are prolific here, so I always have dewberries. That's a roselle. That's a roselle. This is a Chickasaw plum. Down through are mosses, clovers, strawberries, different plants. And it just looks really, really sad, right? But if we're going to talk about it, that's canna. Can't remember if it's a yellow canna. I'm trying to decide which this is going to be eventually. Now, this and these are blueberries, and I quit fighting them. I found a place where they could work. So that's what I suggest you do. If you have a plant that produces and has like sharp barks on it or whatever, put it somewhere where it's not going to be a problem and let it grow. I missed this the first time around. Here's the first moss patch I showed. And I was coming back because I forgot to mention the longevity spinach that I planted over here as a test is still alive. But check this out. This, I have no idea where this baby came from. This is a pine, I believe. There is no pine close by. So something brought this here. Isn't that awesome? And if it wants to be here, this is actually a really good spot for it. This is my massive oaks by the road, right there. And here's my path. And that makes this little baby a wonderful addition. So, I think it's a good note. Work with nature. Enjoy it. Do what you can. And remember to feed your dog. Just kidding. That's a Halloween decoration. And here will be zinnias again. So walking back to the house, walking back by the pagodas and the lantana and my failed attempts. For whatever reason, red is not my color when I make stepping stones. Every one of them broke. So if you know a trick in that, tell me. So with the lantana, the Japanese maple, working with special little spots of moss. Let's see here. Let's see here. I'm getting some kind of pop-up, I don't know, about chat. If you're in there, I didn't see any of it. I apologize. Still working on that. And more moss. Work with the things you have. Let the garden decide sometimes. Because if you try to force everything, nature is going to give you a surprise. And sometimes you have to really, really work hard. Because all of this is go into my sweet potato garden beside my elderberries. Work with nature, people. Really appreciate it. Let me see if we can get out of here. Have a great day.